camp was in Northern Cape, Lohatla Military Base, and it was held from the 6th to the 19th of December 2013.
We had about 1,000 young people that also include the mentors. I was also one of the mentors for the camp.
It was the Rainbow Nation, right? All over South Africa, all 9 provinces were there, were represented by some people. We had different topics which were scattered over the different days. One being, one day we dealt with self-mastering, one day we dealt with patriotism, leadership, drugs and alcohol, and basically all substance abuse and rape and protecting yourself with all of that, among other topics that we dealt with.
Most useful to me is about substance abuses. That is one that I also knew about where we live now in the communities. The most substance that people are using too much is alcohol, mostly, and cigarettes. That's why I'm saying this is usual, and I also deal with such a kids to motivate them how bad it is to them. That's why I'm saying it.
For me, surprisingly, was patriotism. Because when we looked at it, I've always known about all these rules which come up with the flag, the national anthem and all of that, but I never actually got to respect them. And when I went to the camp, it actually taught me that these rules are there to be respected. This is how the flag should be raised.
What was the most important for me? It was interviewing skills and job preparation. Well, as we all know that in South Africa, there's a scarcity of skills and there's also a scarcity of jobs. Still, some of our young people cannot structure a CV. Some of them, they still don't know what happens in an interview. So those were some of the things that we assisted them with in terms of how to structure a CV and how important is a CV. Also how to present yourself in a job interview.
The most interesting was self-mastering. It's very important to have self-knowledge, to know your qualities, and to be driven and to see yourself as a better person and create a legacy for either your country or your family.
I enjoyed the self-ministry one and sexual rights one, because I believe we were only taught about sexual abuse and sexuality, but not sexual rights.
I got to learn about how to conduct yourself when you're in an interview, and the small sketches that we did were very fun, because in all those things you got to see what things that people do wrong in interviews or when they go to a job.
The topic about refugees, learning about other people's struggles, coming to either South Africa or any other country, and looking at the political relations between other countries and in terms of refugees.
Can take leadership back to the community. You can show other people how to move on with everything that they did.
Leadership, it's one quality. Sometimes they say leaders are born, but sometimes leaders are made. It differs in terms of the person. It's very important that people have those qualities, leadership qualities, because it makes people to be aware of certain things, and it makes people to know how to drive the youth of South Africa and the country as a whole.
As a leader, you do not have to always follow people or just do what people say, but you must learn to accept, you must learn to share, you must learn to acknowledge, you must learn to also put yourself in that position where the people whom you are leading are. The camp was a bit of a learning camp for myself, and it was also challenging.
There were 2 challenges about the camp. First challenge was the deliverance of the content. I feel the content was powerful, but the people who were delivering the content were not up to standard. And the second challenge was the dysfunctional of officials, government officials, actually DSD officials. So they were really dysfunctional in terms of they were slightly interrupted by the death of the passing of Nelson Mandela. So it interrupted the whole program of the camp.
It was to some extent it was boring, and some parts it was fun. The parts which were boring were the parts in which we were seated and doing nothing, or the parts in which we went to the hall. Because in the hall there were some things which were done in the hall which were not exciting for all of us. So a lot of us ended up sleeping there. But there were parts in which we like in our small groups, the breakaway groups, or when we were with the military officials. Those parts were pretty exciting because we got to learn new things and we got to experience new things as everything moved on. To some extent, I think the camp wasn't that organized because a lot of things which were on the program ended up not being done, and some of the things which were there, they just got changed on the last minute in front of us, the participants. So I think to some level the organization wasn't that well, but all in all, everything I was satisfied with. That was a nice experience. It was like my first time going to a military base and sleeping there. I've been to a military base before, but actually sleeping there was actually nice with all the rules that are there and everything. Basically, it was just an overwhelming experience. It was very nice.
I went to the camp as a person who was loose, and being in the environment of soldiers, it groomed me to become very grounded and to be self-assertive. So I think one of those exercises or one of those programs was very influential in my life. So now I've changed my life, I've transformed my life to becoming a very grounded but yet great leader one day.
How they treat us there is, for me, it was good to show discipline, to teach us about discipline, because there's no other place where you can find that will be disciplined. If they took us to the camp, not military camps, we cannot be disciplined. So in the military, we also fear their uniforms, then we obey to our rules.
Should be different topics, but not excluding the ones which were there, because the ones which are there were important in their own rights. So including the ones which are there and adding among other topics which are relevant to the youth of today. One of them being varsity, because when we went there, the issue of varsity wasn't discussed much. So I think it was thought that people who were there, all of them were already gone to varsity. But I think it's one thing that should have been added there to discuss the issues that some youth go through when they go to varsity, or some challenges that people come across before they go to varsity or after varsity or things like that.
But obviously can be made to be 100% success. So people need to really transform, and especially the government need to transform in terms of such programs, because it's very important. This program contributes a lot to young people, so it's very important that such programs should be strengthened and made sure that their purpose is met by the young people.
What is more important now is not focusing on just getting a job, but we have opportunities whereby we can also create or develop our own businesses. So the topics such as business development should also be discussed to encourage those young people who want to become young entrepreneurs.
It is very important to South Africans to go there, so that we can learn that we mustn't wait for people to do for us. We must wake up and do things for ourselves.
It's the thing that I want to say about a camp is that people should go to the camp prepared for camp, because a lot of people are going there thinking, no, they're going to sleep in a hotel or something like that, or they're going to enjoy and have fun, and it was actually a camp. So people should prepare to go to camp. You should know that in camp you don't eat the food that you eat at home. At camp you don't sleep the way you sleep at home, or do things the way you do it at home. So at camp you should expect whatever that's going to happen. So that's what I can say about the camp.